The afternoon sun filtered through the dusty windows of Morgan's Jewelry in Milford Creek, a small town where everyone knew everyone's business. Behind the counter stood Gerald Morgan, a man whose smile was as fake as the gold-plated chains he sold to tourists. That Tuesday in late September, 9-year-old Danny Reeves walked in, clutching $8.73, every penny he'd saved mowing lawns and collecting bottles. His mother was dying of cancer in County General Hospital, and tomorrow was her birthday. "I need to buy a necklace for my mom," Danny whispered, his voice barely audible. Gerald looked up from his phone, his eyes narrowing. "And what exactly do you plan to buy with pocket change? This is a real jewelry store, not some dollar store. Maybe your mom should have taught you that expensive things aren't for people like you." The words hung in the air like smoke. That's when the door opened. The man who walked in was a mountain, 6'5", covered in tattoos, wearing a leather vest with a patch that read Iron Brotherhood MC, founder. His name was Marcus Reaper Kane, and he'd been sitting across the street when he saw the boy walk into the store with that desperate, determined look. Marcus knew that look. He'd worn it himself at 12 years old when his own mother died of cancer, before he could give her anything. But before we continue this story, please make sure you're subscribed to our channel. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a story about courage, honor, and the quiet heroes who walk among us. Marcus walked forward, his boots echoing like a judge's gavel. He crouched beside Danny, his voice low and steady. "What's your name, son?" "Danny. Your mom's birthday is tomorrow?" The boy nodded, tears filling his eyes. "She's in the hospital, stage 4. The nurses said I can visit tomorrow morning before—" He couldn't finish. Marcus placed a heavy hand on Danny's shoulder. Firm, steady, the kind of touch that says, "You're not alone anymore." Then Marcus stood, turning to face Gerald Morgan. The store went silent. "Wrap it up," Marcus said. 3 words, simple, direct, unyielding. Gerald blinked. "Excuse me?" Marcus didn't repeat himself. He simply stared, his expression calm but carrying something that made Gerald step back. "The boy asked for a necklace for his mother," Marcus said, his voice low and even. "You're going to give him the best one in this store. You're going to wrap it in your finest box, and you're going to do it with a smile. Now wait just a—" Marcus leaned forward. "Let me tell you something about value, Gerald. That boy just offered you $8.73, but what he's really offering is love, pure, unconditional love for a dying woman, and you mocked him for it." The other customers stopped pretending to browse. "I've seen men die on battlefields for less noble reasons than what this boy's doing right now," Marcus continued. "So here's what's going to happen. You're going to take his money, all of it, and you're going to give him that necklace." He pointed to a delicate silver chain with a heart pendant, easily worth $200. "That necklace is worth every penny of what he's offering," Marcus finished. "Because unlike you, that boy understands what money can't buy." Silence filled the store. Then the businessman, looking at engagement rings, stepped forward. He pulled out $300 bills and placed them on the counter. "Add this to the boy's purchase and upgrade the wrapping." The businesswoman was next, holding out her credit card. "I'd like to contribute as well." Within minutes, 7 people had placed money on the counter, over $700. Gerald stood frozen, his face pale. "No charge," Gerald finally whispered. "Wrong," Marcus said firmly. "He's paying with his $8.73, because this boy doesn't need charity, he needs respect." Marcus turned to Danny. "Give him your money, son." Danny carefully counted out every coin and bill onto the counter. Marcus handed the wrapped gift to Danny. "Your mom is going to love it." "Thank you," Danny whispered, clutching the box like it was made of starlight. "Don't thank me. You did this. You showed up. You fought for what mattered. That's more courage than most men show in a lifetime." As Danny turned to leave, Marcus called after him. "Hey, Danny, tomorrow, when you give that to your mom, you tell her something for me. You tell her that her son is the kind of man this world needs more of." Danny nodded, tears streaming down his face. Marcus turned back to Gerald. Let me give you some free advice. Every person who walks through that door is carrying a story you'll never fully understand. The moment you mock someone for trying to do something loving, you lose the right to call yourself a man. He pulled out a faded photograph, a woman with kind eyes holding a young boy. This was my mother. She died when I was 12. I didn't have $8 to buy her anything. That boy out there is doing something I never got the chance to do. And you tried to take that from him. You're lucky I'm not the man I used to be, Marcus said simply. Then he walked out into the afternoon sun. Marcus stood beside his Harley, staring at nothing and everything. His motorcycle gleamed in the afternoon light, black chrome with the Iron Brotherhood logo on the tank. He should have left Milford Creek. The Brotherhood was waiting in Billings, but something held him there. Marcus thought of Danny, thought of the wrapped gift clutched in small hands, thought of the mother who was dying and the boy who would have to face tomorrow alone. He couldn't leave. Not yet. Marcus stopped at Rosie's diner. The waitress, Carol, looked up warily as he walked in. I'm looking for a boy named Danny Reeves, Marcus said. Carol's expression softened immediately. Everyone knows Danny. Sweet kid. His mom's in County General. Real sad. Where does he live? With his grandmother, Martha Reeves. Oakwood Road, about 2 miles west. Blue house with the white porch. Marcus nodded and rode west. The blue house appeared exactly where Carol said it would be, small but well kept, with flower boxes and wind chimes singing in the breeze. An older woman stepped onto the porch as Marcus killed the engine. Her eyes were sharp and assessing. Are you Martha Reeves? Who's asking? My name's Marcus Kane. I met your grandson today, at the jewelry store. Recognition flickered across her face. You're the biker. Danny told me what happened. I wanted to make sure he was okay. Tomorrow's going to be hard for him. Martha studied him for a long moment. Come inside. But if you make my grandson cry for the wrong reasons, I'll shoot you. Fair warning. Marcus believed her. Inside, Danny sat at the kitchen table, the wrapped gift in front of him. His eyes went wide when Marcus entered. Hi, Danny, Marcus said. Hi. Martha gestured to a chair. Sit. I'll make coffee. Marcus sat across from Danny. The boy stared at him, nervous. Did I do something wrong? Danny asked. No, I just wanted to check on you. Danny's eyes filled with tears. What if she dies tomorrow? What if I don't get to give it to her? Then you'll carry it with you, Marcus said quietly, and you'll remember that you tried, you fought. That matters more than you'll ever know. They sat together as the sun set outside, 3 people bound by grief and hope. I'll go with you tomorrow, Marcus said. If you want, I'll wait in the hall. You won't be alone. Danny looked up, his eyes wide. You'd do that? Yeah, I'd do that. Morning came gray and cold. They rode in Martha's truck to County General, Danny in front clutching the gift, Marcus in back with his knees pressed against the seat. The hospital smelled of antiseptic and floor wax. Nurses moved through halls with practiced efficiency. Room 314 was at the end of the oncology ward. Danny stopped outside the door, trembling. Marcus crouched beside him. You don't have to be strong in there. You just have to be you. That's all she needs. I'm scared, Danny whispered. I know. Courage isn't about not being scared. It's about doing the hard thing anyway. They pushed open the door. To everyone watching from the heartland, from small towns where strangers become family, this story is for you. Drop your city and time in the comments. Sarah Reeves looked impossibly small in the hospital bed. At 34, she should have been in her prime. Instead, cancer had ravaged her body. But when she saw Danny, her face transformed. Hey, baby, she said, her voice hoarse but warm. Hi, Mum. Danny rushed to her side, careful not to jostle the IV lines. Sarah's eyes found Marcus in the doorway, questioning. This is Marcus, Martha explained. He helped Danny yesterday. Sarah studied him with a mother's protective intensity. Thank you. You raised a good kid. That's all you. I have something for you, Danny said, his voice breaking. For your birthday." Sarah took the wrapped gift with shaking hands. When she opened the velvet box and saw the silver necklace with its heart pendant, she broke. "It's beautiful," she whispered, tears streaming down her cheeks. "It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen." "Do you really like it?" "I love it, and I love you, more than anything in this world." She pulled Danny close, holding him as tightly as her weakened arms allowed. Marcus watched from the doorway, his jaw clenched, his eyes burning. Sarah pulled back to look at her son's face. "Listen to me, Danny. I need you to listen very carefully." "Okay. I'm not going to be here much longer. The doctors told me. But I need you to do something for me. Anything. Promise me you'll let yourself be happy. Promise me you'll laugh and play and have adventures. Promise me you'll live, Danny. Really live, for both of us." Danny couldn't speak. He could only nod, sobbing. Sarah looked past him to Marcus. "You, big guy in the doorway." Marcus straightened. "Ma'am, come here." He walked to the bedside. "My mom told me what you did yesterday, how you stood up for Danny." "It wasn't much." "It was everything," Sarah corrected. "I'm dying. I can't protect my son anymore. I can't teach him how to be a man." She reached out and took Marcus's hand. "But you can. You did. In one afternoon, you showed my son what honor looks like. And I'm asking you, begging you to keep doing that, even after I'm gone. Be someone he can call, someone who will remind him that good men exist." Marcus felt something crack deep inside his chest. "I promise," he said, his voice rough with emotion. "Thank you." Sarah looked at Danny again. "Help me put it on." Marcus carefully fastened the necklace around Sarah's neck. The silver heart pendant rested against her collarbone, catching the light. "How do I look?" Sarah asked. "Beautiful," Martha said. "You look beautiful." "Like a queen," Danny added. Sarah touched the pendant, her fingers tracing its shape. "I'm going to wear this forever, and when I'm gone, I want you to keep it, Danny. I want you to remember today." They stayed for another hour, talking and laughing and crying. Sarah told stories about Danny as a baby, about his first day of school, about all the moments that made him who he was. And when visiting hours ended, when it was time to leave, Danny clung to his mother one last time. "I love you, Mom. I love you too, baby, more than all the stars in the sky." Sarah Reeves died 3 days later, on a Thursday morning when the sun was just beginning to rise. Martha called Marcus at 6:47 a.m., her voice breaking as she delivered the news. "She's gone," Martha whispered. Danny was with her. He held her hand until the end. Marcus was on his motorcycle within minutes, riding south from Billings, where he'd finally rejoined the Brotherhood. He arrived in Milford Creek by noon, the highway still warm beneath his tires. Danny sat on the porch steps when Marcus pulled up, small, alone, staring at nothing. The silver necklace hung from his fingers, catching the afternoon light. Marcus climbed off his bike and sat beside the boy without a word. They sat in silence for a long time. Finally, Danny spoke, his voice so quiet Marcus almost missed it. "She wore it. The whole time. Even at the end, she was wearing it." "I know," Marcus said. "She told me she loved it, told me I was brave." "You are." Danny looked up at him, his eyes red and swollen. "I don't feel brave. I feel empty." Marcus put his arm around the boy's shoulders, firm, steady, the way a father would. "Brave doesn't mean you don't hurt. Brave means you keep going even when everything inside you wants to stop. How do I keep going? One day at a time, 1 hour at a time, one breath at a time. You wake up tomorrow and you try. And the day after that you try again. Eventually it gets a little easier. Not better, just easier." Danny leaned against Marcus, and they sat together as the sun moved across the sky. That evening, the Iron Brotherhood arrived. The 63 motorcycles rolled into Milford Creek just before sunset, a convoy of chrome and leather, men with scarred hands and harder pasts, all riding under the same patch. They parked in front of Martha's house, engines rumbling like distant thunder. Jax climbed off his bike first, tall, lean, with grey eyes that had seen too many wars. He walked up to Marcus, glanced at Danny, and nodded once. "The kid?" Jax asked quietly. "The kid," Marcus confirmed. Jax crouched down so he was eye level with Danny. "Your name's Danny, right?" The boy nodded. "I'm Jax. That's Angel, Wraith, Diesel, Hammer, and about 58 other guys with ridiculous nicknames." He gestured to the assembled bikers, who stood in a loose formation, silent and respectful. "We heard about your mom," Jax continued. "Heard what you did for her. That took guts, kid. Real guts." Danny's lip trembled. "She died. I know, and that's not fair. But you gave her something beautiful before she went. You showed her she was loved. That matters. That'll always matter." Angel stepped forward next, a young man with a prosthetic leg visible beneath his jeans. "We wanted you to know something, Danny. In the Brotherhood, we don't abandon our own. Marcus made a promise to your mom, which means we all made that promise. You're part of this family now." Danny looked at Marcus, confused. "It means you're not alone," Marcus said gently. "It means if you need anything, someone to talk to, help with homework, someone to teach you how to change a tire or throw a punch, you call. We'll be there." "Why?" Danny whispered. "Because your mom asked us to," Marcus said. "And because that's what family does." Martha stepped out onto the porch, wiping her eyes with her apron. She looked at the assembled bikers, 63 men who'd ridden hundreds of miles for a boy they'd never met. And her voice broke. "Thank you," she said simply. Diesel, a mountain of a man with a beard down to his chest, stepped forward holding a leather vest, small, child-sized, with the Iron Brotherhood patch on the back. "This is for you, Danny," Diesel said, his voice surprisingly soft. "You don't have to wear it if you don't want to, but if you do, it means you're one of us. It means we've got your back, always." Danny took the vest with trembling hands. He stared at it for a long moment, then looked up at Marcus. "Can I?" Danny asked. "It's yours," Marcus said. Danny slipped the vest on over his shirt. It was too big. He'd have to grow into it, but he wore it with pride. The Brotherhood stayed for dinner. 63 bikers crowded into Martha's small house and yard, eating casseroles and sandwiches brought by neighbors who'd heard what happened. They told stories, laughed, and made sure Danny knew he was surrounded by people who cared. As the sun set, they prepared to leave. One by one, each member of the Brotherhood stopped to shake Danny's hand or ruffle his hair, offering quiet words of encouragement. Jax was the last. He knelt down and looked Danny in the eye. "You ever need anything, and I mean anything, you call this number." He handed Danny a card with a phone number written on it. "Doesn't matter if it's 3 in the morning or the middle of a school day. You call and someone will answer." "Okay," Danny whispered. Marcus lingered after the others left, their engines fading into the distance. He stood with Danny on the porch as stars began to appear. "You did good today," Marcus said. "I didn't do anything. You kept breathing. You kept standing. That's everything." Danny looked up at him. "Will you come back?" "As often as I can. And when I can't, you call. The Brotherhood doesn't break promises." "Promise?" Marcus placed his hand on Danny's shoulder. "I promise." Winter gave way to spring, and spring to summer. Danny returned to school, struggled through grief counseling, and learned how to live in a world without his mother. Marcus kept his promise. He visited Milford Creek once a month, sometimes more. He taught Danny how to change a tire, how to throw a proper punch, how to stand up straight and look people in the eye. The other members of the Brotherhood visited too. Jax taught Danny chess. Angel showed him how to work on motorcycles. Diesel taught him how to cook. Wraith, a former teacher, helped with homework. Slowly, Danny began to heal. 6 months after Sarah's death, Marcus arrived in Milford Creek to find Danny waiting on the porch with a backpack. "What's this?" Marcus asked. "Grandma said I could go with you this weekend, to the veterans shelter thing you're doing in Denver." Marcus looked at Martha, who stood in the doorway. "He needs to see what you do," Martha said. "Needs to see what it means to be part of something bigger than yourself." Marcus smiled. "You ready, kid?" "Ready," Danny said. They rode together, Danny on the back of Marcus's Harley, arms wrapped tight around the big man's waist, wind whipping through his hair. The Brotherhood met them in Denver, 63 bikers plus one 9-year-old in a leather vest. The Veterans Shelter was hosting a fundraiser, a barbecue, silent auction, and motorcycle show. The Brotherhood donated $10,000 raised from their chapters across 6 states. Danny watched as Marcus and the others served food, talked with veterans, played with kids who'd lost fathers to war or addiction. He saw men with hard faces and soft hearts who'd made terrible mistakes and were trying to do better. That night, sitting around a campfire outside the shelter, Danny asked Marcus a question. "Why do you do this, all of you?" Marcus stared into the flames. "Because someone did it for me once. When I got out of prison, I had nothing, no money, no family, no hope. A man named Thomas Garrett gave me a chance, taught me that my past didn't have to define my future. He died before I could repay him. So you do this to honor him?" "I do this because it's the only thing that makes sense. We're all broken, Danny. Every single person on this planet carries scars, but broken doesn't mean worthless. It just means we need to help each other heal." Danny was quiet for a moment, then, "My mom asked you to take care of me." "She did. And you promised." "I did." "Why? You didn't even know us." Marcus looked at the boy. This child who'd lost everything and was still trying to understand the world. "Because when I was 12, my mom died, and no one kept their promises to me. I spent years angry at the world, making bad choices, hurting people. I don't want that for you. Your mom saw something in me, something I'd forgotten I had. She asked me to be the person I should have been all along, and I will be, for her, for you, for me." Danny nodded slowly. "Thank you. You don't have to thank me." "Yes, I do, because you didn't have to do any of this, but you did anyway." Marcus pulled the boy close, and they sat together watching the fire burn down to embers. If you're enjoying this story, hit that like button. It helps us share these stories of courage and honor with more people who need to hear them. A year after Sarah's death, Danny started 5th grade. He was taller now, stronger, but still carrying the weight of loss. One afternoon, Marcus got a call from Martha. "Danny's been suspended from school," she said, her voice tight with worry. "He got into a fight." Marcus was there within 2 hours. He found Danny sitting on the porch steps, his knuckles bruised, his eyes swelling. The boy didn't look up when Marcus sat beside him. "Want to tell me what happened?" Marcus asked quietly. "There's a kid at school, Tyler. He's been saying things." "What kind of things?" Danny's jaw clenched. "He said my mom died because she was too poor to afford good doctors, that if she'd been a better person, she'd still be alive." Marcus felt rage boil up inside him, but he kept his voice calm. "So you hit him?" "I told him to stop. 3 times. He didn't. So yeah, I hit him." "How do you feel about that?" Danny finally looked up, his eyes fierce. "I'd do it again. My mom was the best person in the world. She worked 2 jobs. She never complained. She loved me more than anything. And that kid doesn't get to talk about her like that." Marcus nodded slowly. "You're right. He doesn't. And I'm proud of you for standing up for your mom's memory." "But," Danny asked, hearing the unspoken word, "but there are better ways to handle bullies. Ways that don't get you suspended or hurt. Ways that make you stronger and them weaker." "Like what?" "Like walking away, like being so confident in who you are that their words can't touch you, like understanding that people who say cruel things are usually in pain themselves." "That's not fair," Danny said. "Why should I have to be the bigger person?" "Because your mom asked you to be, because she asked you to live a good life, to be kind, to be the man she knew you could be. Fighting Tyler doesn't honor her memory. Being better than him does." Danny was quiet for a long time. "It just hurts so much. Every day I wake up and she's still gone. And then people say things like that, and it's like she's dying all over again." "I know," Marcus said gently, "and it's going to hurt for a long time. Maybe forever, but you get to choose what you do with that hurt. You can let it make you angry and bitter, or you can let it make you strong and compassionate." "How do I do that?" You remember what she taught you. You remember that she loved you, and you live in a way that would make her proud. Danny wiped his eyes. Will you talk to the principal? Tell her why I did it. No, Marcus said. You're going to talk to the principal. You're going to explain what happened, apologize for using violence, and accept your punishment, and then you're going to move forward. What if Tyler says something again? Then you look him in the eye and say, my mother was the best person I've ever known, and nothing you say will change that. And then you walk away, because his opinion doesn't matter, only hers does, and yours. Danny took a shaky breath. Okay, I'll try. That's all anyone can ask. The next day, Marcus went with Danny to meet with the principal, Tyler, and Tyler's parents. Danny apologized for hitting Tyler. He explained what had been said, his voice steady despite the tears in his eyes. Tyler's parents were mortified. They apologized profusely, promising Tyler would face consequences at home. But it was Tyler himself who surprised everyone. I'm sorry, the boy said quietly, not looking at Danny. My dad lost his job last month. We might lose our house. I was mad at everything, and I took it out on you. That wasn't fair. Danny looked at the other boy for a long moment. Then he extended his hand. Okay, I'm sorry I hit you. Tyler shook his hand. As they left the principal's office, Marcus put his hand on Danny's shoulder. Proud of you, kid. Thanks, Danny said. Hey, Marcus. Yeah? Do you think my mom saw that? Do you think she knows I tried to do better? Marcus looked down at the boy, this child who'd lost everything and was still trying to be good, and he smiled. Yeah, I think she knows. 2 years after Sarah's death, Danny turned 11. He was taller now, his voice beginning to change, his shoulders filling out. Marcus arrived in Milford Creek on a Saturday morning with a surprise. Get your helmet, Marcus said. Where are we going? Danny asked. You'll see. They rode out of town, heading north into the mountains. The road twisted through pine forests and alongside crystal streams. After an hour, Marcus pulled off onto a dirt road that led to a clearing overlooking a valley. 63 motorcycles were already parked there. The entire Iron Brotherhood had gathered. In the center of the clearing stood a small motorcycle, a used Yamaha dirt bike, painted black with silver flames. Danny's eyes went wide. Is that? It's yours, Marcus said. If you want it. We all chipped in. Figured it was time you learned to ride. Really? Danny's voice cracked with emotion. Really? Jack said, walking over with a grin. But you have to promise to take the safety course. And wear a helmet. And not do anything stupid. I promise. Danny rushed to the bike, running his hands over the seat, the handlebars, the engine. The Brotherhood spent the afternoon teaching Danny how to ride. They took turns running alongside him as he wobbled through the clearing, cheering when he managed to stay upright, laughing when he tipped over into the grass. As the sun began to set, they gathered around a campfire. Someone brought out a guitar. Someone else started telling stories. Danny sat beside Marcus, exhausted and happy. This is the best day ever, Danny said. Yeah? Marcus smiled. Yeah. I wish my mum could see this, could see all of you, could see me. Marcus looked up at the stars beginning to appear. I think she can. You really think so? I do. And I think she's proud. Not just of you, of all of us, for keeping our promises. Danny was quiet for a moment. Then, Marcus, can I ask you something? Anything. Do you think the hurt ever goes away? Like, completely? Marcus considered the question. No, I don't think it does. I still miss my mum, and she's been gone 37 years. But it changes. It becomes part of you instead of something crushing you. You learn to carry it, and some days you even find reasons to smile. I'm smiling now, Danny said. I know. They sat together, surrounded by Brotherhood, under a sky full of stars. And for the first time since his mother died, Danny felt something he'd almost forgotten, hope. 5 years after Sarah's death, Danny turned 14. He was nearly as tall as Marcus now, his voice deep, his hands strong from working on motorcycles with the Brotherhood. He still wore the leather vest they'd given him, adjusted twice as he grew, but still carrying the Iron Brotherhood patch on the back. Marcus arrived in Milford Creek on a warm September afternoon, 5 years to the day since he'd walked into Morgan's jewelry. "Got something to show you," Danny said, grinning. He led Marcus to the garage behind Martha's house. Inside sat a motorcycle, a rebuilt Harley Sportster that Danny had been restoring for 2 years with help from the Brotherhood. "You finished it," Marcus said, impressed. "Yesterday. Want to take a ride?" They rode together through Milford Creek, 2 motorcycles side by side, mentor and protégé. People waved from porches, shop owners smiled. When they passed Morgan's jewelry, Danny slowed down. The store was closed. A "for sale" sign hung in the window. "What happened?" Danny asked. "Gerald closed up shop about 6 months ago," Marcus said. "Word got around about what he did to you. People stopped shopping there. He tried to apologize, tried to make amends, but the damage was done." Danny stared at the empty store. "I don't feel good about that." "Why not?" "Because my mom wouldn't want someone to lose their business because of me. She always said people deserve second chances." Marcus smiled. "Your mom was a wise woman." They rode to the cemetery on the edge of town. Sarah's grave was under a maple tree, the headstone simple but elegant. Sarah Marie Reeves' beloved mother, daughter, friend. Her love lives on. Danny knelt beside the grave, placing fresh flowers in the vase. The silver necklace, the one he'd bought her 5 years ago, hung from a small hook on the headstone, catching the afternoon light. "Hi, Mom," Danny said softly. "I brought Marcus. We've been riding. I rebuilt the Sportster. It runs great." He was quiet for a moment, then continued. "I'm doing okay. School's good. Grandma's healthy. The Brotherhood's been teaching me about engines and honor and how to be a good man, just like you asked." Danny's voice cracked. "I miss you every day, but I'm keeping my promise. I'm living, really living. And I'm happy, not all the time, but enough. I think you'd be proud." Marcus placed his hand on Danny's shoulder. They stood together in silence, honoring a woman who'd seen goodness in a stranger and trusted him with her son's future. Finally, Danny stood. "I want to do something." "What's that?" Marcus asked. "I want to find Gerald Morgan, talk to him, see if there's a way to help him. Not because I have to, but because it's what Mom would do." Marcus studied the boy. No, the young man standing before him. 14 years old and already showing more wisdom and compassion than most adults ever learned. "Then that's what we'll do," Marcus said. They found Gerald Morgan living in a small apartment above the hardware store. He answered the door looking older, grayer, defeated. "Danny," Gerald said, his voice filled with shame. "And Marcus, I didn't expect to see either of you. Can we talk?" Danny asked. Gerald nodded, stepping aside to let them in. The apartment was sparse, a couch, a small TV, boxes that hadn't been unpacked. This was a man who'd lost everything and hadn't figured out how to rebuild. "I'm sorry," Gerald said immediately. "I've wanted to apologize for 5 years, but I didn't know how. What I did to you that day, mocking you, belittling you, it was cruel, unforgivable." "It hurt," Danny said honestly. "But my mom taught me that everyone makes mistakes. What matters is what you do after." "I closed the store," Gerald said. "Lost everything. I deserve it." "Maybe," Marcus said. "But the question is, what are you going to do now?" Gerald looked up, confusion in his eyes. "You made a mistake," Danny said. "A bad one. But you can still do better. You can still be someone who helps people instead of hurting them." "How?" Gerald's voice was barely a whisper. "Start by apologizing to everyone you've hurt," Marcus said. "Then find a way to give back. Volunteer. Help people who can't help themselves. Become the man you should have been." "I don't know if I can." "You can," Danny said firmly, "because if I can forgive you, you can forgive yourself. And then you can do better." Gerald's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you. Thank you for giving me a chance I don't deserve." As they left the apartment, Marcus put his arm around Danny's shoulders. Your mom would be so proud of you, Marcus said. I hope so, Danny replied. I really hope so. They rode back to Martha's house as the sun set over Milford Creek. The town looked the same as it had 5 years ago, but everything had changed. A boy had walked into a jewelry store with $8.73. A biker had said 3 words. And from that moment, a family was born. Not a family bound by blood, but by something stronger: honor, respect, and the promises we keep. Martha had dinner waiting. Pot roast and potatoes, Danny's favorite. The brotherhood called to check in, their voices filling the kitchen with laughter and warmth. That night, as Marcus prepared to leave, Danny stopped him. Thank you, Danny said, for everything, for keeping your promise to my mum, for teaching me how to be strong, for being there when I had no one else. You never have to thank me, Marcus said. Your family, that's what family does. When I grow up, I want to be like you, like the brotherhood. I want to help people who need it. Marcus smiled. You already do, kid. You already do. As Marcus rode north into the night, he thought about the promise he'd made 5 years ago to a dying woman in a hospital bed. He'd kept that promise. They all had. And in keeping it, they'd all been saved. Thank you for watching this story. If it touched your heart, please subscribe to our channel and share it with someone who needs to hear about courage, honor, and the promises that change everything. See you in the next story.